Alright folks, welcome to Balatro University. This will be elementary Balatronomics class with Dr. Spector. Regardless of where you're at in your Balatro journey, regardless of what your goals are, I just want to help you become more successful overall. And so in my other videos, sort of spread out sporadically, I've given lots of tips and tricks and strategy. This time I want to start over from the beginning. I want to build it from the ground up. And so we're going to assume that you haven't seen any of my other content. And today we're going to focus on the early rounds, the early antes. We're going to focus on some of these early game scenarios and how to set yourself up for success later on in the run. So if we just jump in here with this is the starter deck, the red deck on the base difficulty setting. So, the basic premise of the game is you play poker hands and then you earn points. And so, for example, here I have a pair of queens. If I want, I can play a pair of queens. Each individual card gives me some number of chips, and so each queen gives me plus 10 chips, and then in total, we've got, for a pair here, that's 10, and then another 10, and then another 10 from the two queens, so that's 30 times 2, we get 60 points. And all together, through some combination of hands, we need to get this scoring threshold of 300 here. And so maybe what I can do is I can use my discards to find better hands, to find better cards. I have part of a straight here, so I'm just going to discard looking for either a 9 or a 4 would complete my straight. There we go. So I could go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. There's my straight. Okay, all that together, 65 times 4 is enough. Not on its own, but combined with the previous hand that I played, I have a total of 320 points, is more than enough to pass. And now, here's the first lesson. First lesson is, at the cash out screen here, we get an amount of money for passing each round. We also get extra money if we have leftover hands. Each round you have 4 hands, and so we used 2 hands to score, and with 2 left over, we have $2 extra here. And so you get more money if you use fewer hands. And the way that you do that, if we go into the run info here, the higher ranking hands, the hands that are harder to get, it's harder to get 4 of a kind than it is to full house, are going to be worth more points. And so if we play the hands that are worth more points, then we use less hands, we earn more money. So let's try it again. So again, in the first round here, I have, 2 pair is okay. Rather than submit the 2 pair, let's try to use our discards to dig for a better hand. And so if I already have 2 pair here, aces and queens, let's discard looking for an additional ace or an additional queen. So let's try it again. And again. And one more time. Alright, unfortunately we did not find the ace or the queen that we were looking for, but what we can do is we can keep digging. And so when you run out of discards, a thing that you could do is you could just play hands as garbage, play hands like you would discards. So here, these 4 cards here, I'm not playing this because it's a pair, I'm not playing this to score points, I'm playing this just to get out of my hand. And I'm still looking for maybe the ace or the queen. And then so now I can play the 3 aces and the queen, and the 2 queens, and then that's the one hand that's going to win the round actually. We did kind of use an extra hand, and so we didn't actually get an extra $1. So there's some trade-off between playing hands that are scoring enough points versus playing hands that are easy enough to draw. So maybe let's try again and be a little bit less ambitious with what we're trying to draw. So maybe what we want to do, okay, if we go into the run info here, if you want to play a full house, you need the chips from your cards, you need it to add up to 35 or more. And then so 40 plus another 35 is 75. And then that 75 times 4 is going to be 300 points if you want to play a full house. Or, okay, let's say you wanted to win with a flush. Then you would need the chips from your cards to add up to 40 or more, so that you have, again, the same 75 times 4. So let's look for a flush that's going to add up to 40 or more. So, sort of an easy thing to do here. I have 3 spades. I'll just discard anything that's not spades. And then just keep going for more spades. All right, I was looking for a flush. I was looking for spades, but we do have an opportunity to play. There's a straight here, actually. We have ace through 10, or we can play a king through 9 would also be a straight. So if we check out the straights here, the base scoring from the hand is lower because, straights are maybe easier to draw than flushes. And so you get starting at 30 instead of starting at 40 where the full house is. So for a straight, if you want to hit that 75 points, that one-shot hand, you need 45 chips. And so let's check here. If we've got ace, king, queen, jack, that adds up to 41, plus a 10 is 51, is plenty of points. If we go down to the 9 here instead, that's going to be 2 less, that's 49 points. So as long as we hit 45 or higher, then we're good. So we can go ahead here, we can submit the straight, and then you can see that this is able to win in 1. And so in the first round, that's generally what we're trying to do. Now we have 3 hands remaining, we have more money. When we go into the shop, we'll be able to do more interesting things perhaps. So again, let's take a look at the first round. All right, so again, I have, maybe here 2 pair. I have 2 8s and 2 5s, and we might be interested in going for a full house because, a full house is going to score more than a flush or more than a straight, generally speaking. It's not always true, right? If we have, let's say I drew the 8 and I had 3 8s and only 2 5s, the 3 8s would be 24 points, the 5s would be an additional 10, so that's 34. So for a full house plus 34, that would be 74 times 4. That would not be enough to one-shot. And so if I went for the full house, even if I did get the full house, it wouldn't be enough points. I would need to play an additional hand. Also, even if we were, even if these 5s were, let's say, aces instead, let's say 8s and aces, I think the full house is hard enough to draw that maybe we shouldn't go for it, because we did have that scenario where we failed to draw the full house. It cost us extra hands that we needed to play. And so what I would do here actually is, instead of going for the full house, all the time what I'm looking for is either a flush that's high enough or a straight that's high enough. And so here with already the 2 spades, queen and jack here, and a 5 spades, let's look for more spades. All right, immediately I see ace, queen, jack, and then these here is going to add up to enough points. All I need is 40, and then so that's my flush. All right, now let's talk about shopping. All right, in the shop, early on, this is what we're looking for. So let's say, let's say I go to the collection here. I'm looking for, some kind of joker that's going to help me score more points, right? If I increase my mult, here's, let's say, plus 8 mult for a pair. If I go back to the run info here, what used to be a pair, maybe with the cards adding chips, maybe this is 30 times 2. If I add 8 on the right here, it'll be 30 times 10, and we'll score, however many more points that is. 30 times 2 is 60 compared to 30 times 10 is going to be 300. So you score 5 times as much, right? Or, we can go into the collection here and we also have, maybe there's a joker that gives us plus 50 chips instead of mult. And so with plus 50 chips, let's go back and check it out for the pair here. So I said with 2 queens, pair of queens, this was 30. Now if I add 50 more chips on top of that, this will be 80 times 2. And so 80 times 2 is 160. And so it's not quite as powerful as the, like I said, the plus 8 mult, but it is still good enough. It is still more powerful. And so, that's kind of the first lesson. The first lesson is, what types of jokers might we be interested in? Like every joker is going to increase your score. The question is, how much score increase do you get per dollar, right? How efficient is it? How, good is it? And so, the joker that's offered to us right here is going to be plus molt based on the sell value of your jokers. So when I'm reading this, okay, this is a joker that's going to have more power when I have more jokers. And the flavor that it's going to give me is the plus molt kind of flavor. This is probably not something that you want to be taking right now, early on, because we, don't have any other jokers to go with it, so it's not going to give me any scoring bonus. But this could be the kind of thing that you invest in and hold on for the future. If I pick up more jokers later, which, naturally you're going to do that, then this is going to get more powerful later. It could be worth it. Let's see if we could get another example here. Maybe not. Here's a swashbuckler again, and then a rare joker that we can't afford. So, let's say in the unlikely scenario that you don't get any jokers, no scoring jokers in the first round. Now the next round is 450 points. So we know, and you can try this out for yourself, there exists either a straight or a flush or a full house that are between 250 and 350 points. And so there is not a full house that will get me the full 450 points. And so for the second round here, I'm thinking, okay, probably I can do this in 2 hands. I can do this in only 2 hands is all I need. And so maybe let's try to figure out what 2 hands would work. Here I have, the 2 pair, queens and nines. And maybe I might be going for 2 pair, or maybe I could go for the full house, would be worth more points. We already said in the first round, the full house is difficult to draw. And part of that is, if I'm looking for the full house, there's 2 queens left in the deck, there's 2 nines left in the deck. And so there's only 4 possible draws that could complete the full house. Whereas, keeping these 3 hearts, if I try to go for the hearts flush, I need 2 cards still, but I have 10 different possibilities. So 2 out of the 10 different possibilities has a better chance of getting 1 out of 4 different possibilities. So I'm able to hold on to these hearts and discard looking for more. And let's try it again. So one more time looking for hearts. One more time looking for hearts. There we go. So we got king, 8, 6, 4, 3. If I want to play the flush, I could. Or as another option here, I can play a pair of 8s and then also 3 3s for a full house. So in the second round here, assuming that we have no jokers, no scoring help, we do need 2 hands. And so I'll play the full house. And then keeping these 3 hearts does open up the possibility that I draw the flush after. And so there we go, we've got the flush just like we planned it. And then each hand is, only worth 250 points, but that's okay. 2 of those will get me the 450. And now we used 2 hands, so we only get $2 here. But we also get, here's a new feature, we get $1 of interest. And so the more money you have, the more money you get from interest. And so you're rewarded for holding onto your money, you're rewarded for not spending it all right away. And so, in the early shops here, if you don't see anything that you need or you don't see anything that you want, you could opt into not spending your money. Even if there is something that's potentially useful here, maybe this is a $9 joker here. This is a negative joker that doesn't take up a joker slot. Maybe you still want to be saving your money for interest anyway. Only take stuff, if you need it, kind of. Let's go next. Let's see here. If I take this is Jimbo, the joker. He gives us +4 molt. A hand that used to be, let's say this full house is some number times 4, flush is some number times 4. If I add 4 to it, this will double all of my scores, right? Instead of times 4, it'll be times 8. And so what used to be a 300 point hand is now a 600 point hand. And so thinking about the boss here, in the next round, we need to score 600 points. What used to be 300 points in the first round, now that same hand can win the next round, win the boss round. So if I save all of my $10 here, I will get $1 per 5. I'll get $2 worth of interest for saving my money. So here I can think about, maybe clubs as a flush. Could be possible, could be easy enough. I do have to think about, every boss is going to have a different effect. This one is debuffing some cards. For early antes, the debuff is mostly, when I play this, it doesn't count. It doesn't score me the 7 chips. And so as far as this calculation, how big of a flush do I need? How big of a straight that I need? Take that into account. This is a 0. You could still play it as part of a hand, but it's not going to score any points on its own. And so, looking at all my debuffed cards here, maybe if we're going for the clubs flush, I have to look out for the 8 and the 3 will score a 0, or maybe I should go for the diamonds flush. Since none of them are debuffed, it'll be easier for me to get the ones that I need. So, if I want, I could do something like this. I could discard these, looking for the diamonds that are not debuffed. Maybe try again for diamonds. There we go. So we've got, here is my flush, and we should check real fast to make sure that it's going to score enough points. I need it to be 40 chips. And then there we go. That's enough to beat the boss round. And we get the $2 for interest from having $10 left over. And then now we have $20, which we can purchase, different things, jokers, booster packs, possibly a voucher. And then in the next round, if you want to look ahead, if we go to run info here under blinds, we can see the current ante. So an ante is made up of 3 rounds, so we can see these 3 rounds. It doesn't show us the next round, but if you go to your collection here under blinds, you can see the next round is going to be 800. And so the first ante was 300. That's the small blind. The big blind is 50% bigger, and then the bosses are going to be 2 times. And so it was 300 times 2 is going to be 600. Then in ante 2, so the next round, small blind is going to be 800, and then 1200, and then the boss is double that, is 1600 for the next boss. And so that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, how do I score enough points? And so maybe I could get something like this. In addition to the plus molt that I have from Jimbo here, I can add another 50 chips. And so now, whatever hand used to get me 300 points, and then Jimbo raises to 600 points, and then now on top of that, adding some number of chips. So maybe, Slide Joker requires us to play something that contains a pair. So let's look for a full house. So, before we weren't going for the full house because we said it was harder to get the full house. Maybe you don't get the full house, and then it costs you an extra hand that you have to throw away in order to find the full house. Maybe now, since our full house is worth more, it's worth it to play the full house, right? If I play the same kind of flush, if I play the same kind of straight as I was doing before, it'll only be 600 points, and I will require 2 hands in order to score. Whereas with the Slide Joker now, I can win with just the 1 full house. And so maybe let's try to do that. I'm just going to discard the low cards. There we go. We've got 3 kings and 2 queens. So, normally this flavor of full house is going to be 50 plus 40 is 90. So 90 times 4 is 360. So again, whether it's a straight, flush, or full house, expect it's kind of in the 250 to 350 range. And so this is 360. With Jimbo, it's going to be doubled. Plus 4 molt for, from 4 to 8 is doubled. So that's going to be 720. And then if we add another 50 chips from Slide Joker, okay, well, let's try to figure that out. So rather than, just add up all the numbers and then, actually calculate it, let's just figure out sort of relatively where we were at before and then where we can go next. And so let's say we had, this is 90 before, And then 50 on top of 90 is a little bit more than 50% more chips. And so it's going to be a little bit more than 50% more score, right? And so if this was originally 360, doubled to 700, a little bit more than 50% on top of that should be, you know, maybe a little bit more than 1,000. I can figure out. Let's ship it. So 1,000 or 1,100 here. You know, I knew that it's enough to hit this 800 here. I know also in the next round it's not enough to hit the 1,200. So with all these things in mind, let's go back to the beginning and just run through some scenarios. Let's just run through some of these early antes and, you know, like I said, set ourselves up for success. So, you know, I'm going to jump in here, and our typical pattern in round one is to look for a high flush or a high straight. I've decided I'm going to go for the clubs here. I am choosing, here is a 2 of clubs. I'm choosing to throw away the 2 of clubs. So here's why. If I want to get a flush that's going to score enough points, if I want to get the one-shot flush, then it needs to add up to a certain number of chips, right? It needs to add up to 40 or higher. And so if I have the 2 of clubs, this is not typically high enough. You know, if I have however many clubs, this is 40 is an average of 8 or higher, right? I need all of my clubs to be 8 or higher. 2 is not going to cut it. So I'm going to discard here. Even though I said I'm looking for a clubs flush, I'm going to discard this club looking for different, better clubs. So for example, here's a 9 of clubs. Also here we've got the 8 and the 10. So we have the possibility of drawing a straight. So if I have these 4 cards, we can complete the straight either with a 7 or with a queen. The problem with that is if I get the 7, you can add it up yourself, but it won't be enough to get the 300 points. If I get the queen, it'll work, but not the 7. And so as far as completing the straight, there's only 4 cards that can do it. It has to be one of my 4 queens. And if that's what the requirement is, then getting that straight is the same difficulty as getting a full house, right? There's 4 cards that you could possibly draw. So if I want to, you know, have a better chance of getting what I'm looking for, I'm actually, instead of going for this straight, I'm going to continue digging for more clubs. So here, ace, jack, 9, discard looking for more clubs. All right, we have, here's the ace, king, jack, 9, and then the 5, and then that's going to be a flush. So generally, you know, what I suggest is decide ahead of time, every round, decide ahead of time what is going to be a winning hand, not necessarily the best hand, but what is going to be a good enough hand, and then commit fully, commit to making that happen. And for me, the easiest one is typically the high flushes, but if you happen to draw into a high straight, then, you know, take what's been dealt. All right, so assuming that we are able to one-shot the first round, and we are, you know, getting the $3 here, we get 6 plus our starting 4. You start with $10. Basically, you go into the first shop with $10. And now the question is, you know, what can I get that would maybe increase my score? Because if I get something that increases my score, then in the next round, you know, we demonstrated being able to hit the 450 with 2 hands. If I can hit 450 with just 1 hand, then I get an extra $1. I earn a $1 there. And so you could think of it as, you know, you spend a little bit money to increase your scoring power, and then you earn back some reward money. So we said, you know, sometimes you want to save your money for interest. Sometimes spending your money is the same as interest, right? If it allows you to win with fewer hands. That's not the technology that's been given to us right here. We have Pareidolia is sort of this enabler joker. It causes all of your cards to count as face cards, and so if there's any jokers that care about face cards, then this will allow you to get some synergy there. On its own, you know, doesn't help you score at all. Also, you know, there are some of these bosses that interact with face cards, you know, like debuffing your face cards face down, those sorts of things. And so, you know, this is a type of thing that you could, what I say, speculate on. Like you could pick it up hoping that you get the synergy later. You know, it is powerful enough that when you do get the synergy, it will pay for itself, you know. But I think, you know, sort of the safer, more consistent thing to do is just hold our money for interest, and then, you know, we just have more money for more options in the future. The other option given to us is the 8-ball. So the 8-ball, you know, immediately doesn't really do anything, right? It doesn't give us any chips or mult. It's not going to help us score. But, you know, long term, this could generate some value for us. So every time we play a hand that contains 2 or more 8s, then we get a planet card. And so this could be a full house or 2 pair containing 8s. You know, maybe it's hard-ish. You know, it's not super hard, but maybe it's hard-ish to make, you know, guarantee that you get the full house every time that has 8s in it. But, you know, it could pay for itself as sort of a, you know, value joker, an income joker. Let's pick it up and see what happens. So if we go into the next round here. So I'm thinking about, you know, what kinds of hands can I make that are going to hit the 450 here, or actually I need 2 hands that I need to make. And separately I have this additional calculation of, you know, what kind of hands do I want to go for with the 8-ball. You know, maybe a pair is not going to score enough points. Maybe 2 pair could be okay. A full house would be best, though in my opening hand here I see I don't have any 8s. And so if I wanted to go all in on the full house with 8s, possibly you could get there, but probably it'll be risky. Risky in the sense that if you don't get there, you will waste extra hands. And if you waste extra hands, that's extra money. And with less money, you afford less jokers, and sort of snowballs on you, right? And so maybe we don't need to go all in on the 8-ball. Maybe we'll just, you know, get 8-ball value when it comes up naturally. And so what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to go for, again here, I've got 3 hearts and 3 clubs. So I'm just going to discard looking for more hearts. It'll be easy-ish for us to get the flush, even though there is no flush that's going to contain multiple 8s. So here's already a flush. And then now that we've, you know, dug part way through our deck, you know, we only have 34 cards left. We're able to get the first flush fairly easily, and we have the 1 8 in hand. Now I feel a little bit more confident. I feel like I can find more 8s. You know, if I discard like this, then I have 2 6s and an 8 left over. There's only 1 6 left and there's 3 8s left. So out of those 4 cards, I'm looking for maybe 2 out of those 4 if I want to make the full house. Or if I draw just the 8, then the 2 pair is not going to be enough to get 150 points. So maybe what I want to do is I want to go for the 8s, but instead of the 6s, maybe I want to go for a higher pair. So maybe we could discard something like this. Or, sorry, I'm trying to look for, you know, what would be a higher probability draw here. Either way, you know, maybe we'll do something like this. So keep the 8 and then keep the queen, because we've got 3 queens left in the deck that we could try to pair. Or we could pair anything else. Alright, so now we've got 2 8s, and we've drawn some 4s here, but this 4s, you know, we do have a 4 left in the deck. I'm going to go for, again, maybe something like this. So there's 2 kings left, there's 2 jacks left. I'm going to discard the kings and the jacks, looking for that queen, which I have 3 left. Alright, so we got the 2 pair already. We got the 2 queens and the 2 8s. And I believe this is enough. You know, let's just double check here. This is queen and 8 is 16. So this is 32. 62 times 2 is not enough. So if I want to make the 8s happen, I have to continue discarding, looking for, either an 8 or a queen. So I have 4 possible outs out of 24 cards. All right, we didn't get the full house. So, we have this consideration, do we want to keep digging for the full house? We can play the high card ace, or, if I play this high card hand and I draw the full house, then we'll definitely have enough points after that. Or, if I play this 2 pair, I said the 2 pair is not going to be enough, but since I require, from this position, since it requires me to play 2 hands anyway, we might as well play the 8s. And, when I'm playing this 2 pair here, I can also add an extra card here. So if I add this 3, it'll play the 3. It won't score, but I can throw it away from my hand. And then we get a planet card here. And so, with the 8 ball, we used an extra hand, right? We tried to be a little bit greedy. We tried to go for the full house with the 8s, and so it cost us. We used an extra hand, but we also got, an extra planet card. And if we wanted to, we could use it. We could level up our pairs, or, we always have the opportunity, we can sell it for $1. And then that makes up for the, not getting the full house. And then we can play whatever here, maybe a pair or 3 of a kind also works. And so the 8 ball, maybe it's, what is the fail case? What is the fail case is it if we don't draw the hand that we're looking for? We can still score enough, at least at this stage, we can still score enough with, not that many hands, not that much technology. And so it's worth it to be a little bit greedy. It's worth it to go for the 8s, because if we don't get the 8s, if we don't get the hand that we're looking for, we could still win, we could still survive. And maybe the difference is it costs us an extra $1, it costs us an extra hand. Then we can go next. And then so in the next shop here, maybe something that you're looking for is whatever hands that I normally play, are 300-point hands. And so if I want to beat the boss here, maybe I'm looking for some additional scoring help so that I can get the 600 points. Or we can always go into the next round and then try to win this in 2 hands, 600 points. It's a little bit harder, 2 hands, but it's not impossible, right? This is already what we did in the previous round, right? So maybe if I'm seeing spades and clubs here, I'm not going to keep the diamonds for a flush. I'm going to discard these looking for maybe a clubs flush or a spades flush. So here I've got, how do I read this? I have 3 spades and some clubs. I'm going to keep discarding looking for spades. So again here, we have an 8. We have this option to try to do some 8-ball stuff, get value from our 8-ball, but I'm just going to play it a little bit safe, a little bit conservative. I'm just going to make sure I have enough points to survive. All right, again, discard looking for spades. One more time looking for spades. There we go. So we got the spades. And then now, I have 6 different spades, so I could ask this question, what spade do I want to have left over? And maybe what I want, maybe let's do this. Maybe if I do this, actually, if I do this, I'm trying to decide here. I think I want to have the 3 left over. Having the 3 left over opens us up to the possibility of drawing a straight. So we've got the 3 and the 2 here, but it would be a low straight. So maybe that's not something that I'm interested in doing. Maybe what I want, well, if I do this, the flush is not going to be 300 points. So I think I'm going to play the queen here just to get the most points from my flush. And then, let's see here, I've got 3 of a kind. If I want it, I could go for more spades, but there's only, 4 spades left in the deck. So maybe I have more 3s left in the deck. I could try to go for a full house. So if I want to go for the full house with the 2s, maybe what we'll do is we'll play these 4, looking for a 10 or possibly some other pair. There we go, the 10s with the 2s. I don't think that's going to be enough. Yeah, but we can, play 2 pair here. And so they're, demonstrating, without the help of some scoring joker, it is harder. It's harder, with the debuff on the diamonds. Some hands that used to be 300 points are now only 240, 280 points. And so maybe I need 3 hands to win instead of playing 2 hands, and it's a little bit harder to do that. And so you have some pressure, some incentive to try to get some scoring help in the first couple rounds, the first couple shops. So, we'll run through some more scenarios, what those early shops could look like, and then we'll move on to, Ante 2. All right, so again, in the beginning here, I'm looking for, I have some clubs, but I don't know if 4 and 7 are high enough, good enough clubs. So maybe what I want to do is I want to go for the hearts, since I already have the ace and king of hearts. And as a backup, I can keep this jack also, and then maybe get the straight with the queen and the 10. And just like we planned it, there's the ace through 10 straight. All right, in the first shop here, we have basically what we want. Basically what we want is going to be, some kind of plus mult. We have the summit, gives us plus mult when you have 0 discards remaining, gives us plus 15. And so early on, if we have all of our hands are 4 mult, then if you go plus 15 on top of that, that's going to be, takes us to 19. So it's going to be 5 times as much points with the Mystic Summit. 300 points becomes 1500 points. The misprint gives us some random number, sometimes 0, but between 0 and 23. And so on average, giving you maybe 12 points, 11 or 12 or something like that. And so the difference between these two is misprint applies to every hand, though sometimes randomly will give you nothing, whereas summit only applies when you have 0 discards remaining. I think between the two of these, I think summit is stronger. Of course, it costs $5 instead of $4, so it should be stronger. The question is, how much stronger? And I think the consistency of the summit being able to control for sure when this is going to happen is a huge advantage over the misprint. The misprint, maybe the thing that we're trying to do is dig for the one hand, the one scoring hand, and then when you play it, you need that certainty that it is going to work. And so I am going to take the summit here, using all of our discards. Discards are free, so that's something that we can easily do all of the time. So we'll go next here. Then in the next round, I know I can win with just one hand. So here I already have a straight. All I have to do is get rid of my discards. So I'm just going to discard random stuff and then play the straight now that I have 0 discards remaining. So, as far as starts go, this is the perfect start. This is exactly what you're looking for. All right, in the next shop here, I have some number of chips to go with my mult here. And so we said, so starting at 4 mult, if I add plus 15, raising it from 4 to 19, we said that's times 5 is what that does. If we get another Mystic Summit, if we get another 15 takes us from 20 up to 35. That is less than a times 2, right? So the difference between 4 and 19 is 5 times. The difference between 19 and then 34, if we had a second summit, is less than 2 times. And you sort of get this diminishing returns on your plus mult. So you kind of want, if you can, you want a mix of plus mult and then also chips. So on the other side of the equation here, if we have the scary face gives us plus 30 chips per face card. If we play 2 pair, actually let's say we just play 1 pair of face cards, right? We play 2 pair, let's say 6s and queens or something like that, or kings and aces. It doesn't even have to be a full house necessarily. Then the plus 60 chips from this and the plus 15 mult from this, that's already hundreds of points, maybe even 1,000 points. And so if we do something like, here, 2 pair plus however many cards we play, is maybe worth 60 chips. Full house plus whatever cards that we play, could be worth 90 chips. And so on top of that, this, scary face is doing more than, 100% possibly. So let's pick up the scary face here and then go next. In the next round, our spades are debuffed. So, if I play this king, okay, it doesn't score any bonus from the scary face here. So I know, any straight or any flush, even without the chips from the scary face, I already know is going to be 5 times whatever 300 was. So it's going to be 1,500 points. So let's just dig. Let's just dig for clubs, maybe. Throw away all of these spades. Or if we want, even with the debuff on the spades, if I just look at my flush here and go 30 times 20, that's going to be 600 points. So, if we wanted to, we could dig for spades here and we could play this flush with all the debuff cards. It's still going to give us, well, it would have given us enough points if we used our discards for the Mystic Summit. My apologies. Let's try that again. Yeah, discard some random stuff here and then play the flush. Let's see what it looks like with the 2 face cards. All right, there, so 2,700 points. 2,700 points is enough if we go to the collection here. So all of Ante 2, 800 points, Big Blind 1,200 points, Boss is 1,600 points, all the way up to Ante 3, 2,800 points. And so with this combination of mult and chips, we're good. We're good for the first 3 antes. We can just save our money for interest and, that's it. So let's start over. Let's see another one. So in the first round here, I have the full house, but it's not a good enough full house. So I'm going to keep digging for maybe, if I do this, I can dig for either hearts or spades or clubs as a flush. Since I already have the diamonds here, I'm going to throw away the diamonds. I'm going for the flush of either of these or possibly a straight. There we go, we got the straight. So going for the high flush and going for the high straight, the cards that you keep for the high flush are the same as the cards that you keep for the high straight. So you can kind of go for both at the same time. All right, in this shop, the cola does not help us score the tower, gives plus 50 chips as a stone card. Helps us score when we play a hand that's not already 5 cards, right? If you play 2 pair, you can add 50 chips. If you play high card, you can add 50 chips. This does not add to a full house or a flush or a straight. So I'm gonna pass on the tower, which means, going into the next round, I'm gonna need 2 hands, which I think is completely possible. Here we do have a spectral pack. Spectral packs come up, anytime there's a booster pack, there's about 1 in 10 chance that you get a spectral pack. And spectral packs have, a lot of very powerful things that you can get, a lot of wacky things that you can get. They are generally speaking better earlier. I'll do a separate video talking about, all the different things that you can get. Just for now, for just playing it safe and then making sure that we have our early game online, you don't need anything from the first shop. And so I don't need this spectral pack. I can just keep saving my money for interest. So we'll go next. All right, in the next round here, we are looking for 2 hands. So, maybe we can go for spades. All right, there's the spades. And then maybe, now what? Maybe go for diamonds or clubs. I have more diamonds left than I have clubs. So we'll dig for diamonds. One more time for diamonds. There we go. Alright, shop 2. Now we are looking for something to help us score against the boss. And so we can take here the raised fist. It's going to give us plus molt under some conditions. So we'll just take it. And we also have the option, this is our first, money generator. The egg is going to increase in sell value each round. So we spend $4 here. And then, going from $13 to $9, instead of having $2 interest, now we only have $1 of interest. So, we lost a little bit of money there. We lost a little bit of interest there. But the egg is now every round going to be worth more and more. And you don't get access to that money until after you sell it, right? You don't get any, as it is gaining value, you don't get any interest money on the money that you get from the egg. But it's still worth it. It's still very powerful income generator. And so sort of generally what you're looking for in your early game, you're looking for some combination of money generators and some combination of scoring jokers, and thinking about, how do I get the minimum amount of scoring I need and have as much money as I can, kind of max out on money. And so typically what you're looking for is an average of about 1 scoring joker per ante. And so for the first 3 rounds, we're looking for 1 scoring joker. In the next 3 rounds, we want to bring it up to 2 scoring jokers by the end of ante 2. And then for you to be successful in ante 3, you're looking for your 3rd scoring joker. So I'm going to keep saving the rest of my money for interest. Let's go next. We've got, I can play a full house. Maybe something that's a little bit awkward with the raised fist. This gives us molt based on the lowest ranking card in our hand, and that is currently a 2. And so if I wanted to get, instead of a 2, something higher, I could discard this. I could also, I'll just discard this. There we go. So now when I play the full house, I can see the lowest ranking card is the 7, and this will give us plus 14 molt. So the fist is a little bit of a mini game. You have to play around it a little bit, but it is very powerful. And so being able to get, on average, you're looking for, at least early on from the common jokers, you're looking for plus 10-ish, plus 10 or 12 molt from your joker. And this will give us, on average, more than that. And so it's worth the $5 price tag. And so there I could see already I can hit, with the full house, I can hit 1100 points, which is enough for the next round is 800. But then 2 rounds from now, I need to be able to hit 1200. So I am looking for now a second scoring option. So I could, do something like this. I could pick up the Clever Joker. Clever Joker gives me chips to go with my molt from the fist. The issue with the Clever Joker is it requires you to play 4 of a kind, which is maybe not the easiest thing to do. It's already hard enough to play full houses. And so Clever Joker is more like a mid to end game Joker. Like plus 150 is a big number, but the 4 of a kind requirement is tough. And so I already know I have enough points to win the next round, so I'm just going to keep holding my money for interest and then just go next. So in the next round here, trying to get 800, I could play this flavor of flush. Maybe, then the fist gives me the plus 8 molt here. So if you want to think about it, okay, this flush maybe is worth 280-ish points, and then if I get the plus 8 from the 4 here, right? So fist gives us plus 8 on the 4 here. Then my 4 molt goes up to 12 molt, which is 3 times as much. So what used to be a 280 point hand is going to be worth 3 times as much. If I want to, be a little bit safer, I can discard here the 4, or, you know, I can play this and it would be, you know, about 280 times 3, which is enough, almost enough. It'll be close, right? It'll be close to 800. So maybe, yeah, let's discard the 4, and then the 5 that'll work. Not that we can't keep discarding, but, you know, I already know that it's gonna work. Then, so now in the next round is 1200. We know we can easily hit 1000. Hitting 1200, I am looking for some additional scoring help, or there's always the option, there's always the possibility, we just play 2 hands, right? We already know that we can play 2 hands, so might as well play 2 hands. As far as like scoring options, one thing you could do is you could take the planet cards. The planet cards are going to increase the base chips and mult of your poker hands, and then so that's going to help you score as well. So here, 3 of a kind is +2 mult and +20 chips. I think, you know, maybe we don't need to do that. You know, I would prefer to stick to these higher ranking, these higher scoring hands, you know, these straight and flushes and full houses type stuff. We do have the option also to pick up the hallucination joker. So this is one of my favorites. The hallucination is going to give you tarot cards, and then those tarot cards are going to help you build your deck, help you modify your deck, help you make the hands that you're looking for more easily. And so, you know, you could get the tarot card that removes cards from your deck, removes the low cards from your deck for the consideration of the raised fist. So here, you know, what I would like to do is pick up this additional, I have egg as a money generator, I have hallucination as an additional value generator. Knowing that I can still continue to score enough points just playing 2 hands. So even though I didn't gain any additional scoring from this shop, I still know that I can win with 2 hands. Hallucination doesn't give you any value until you actually do buy the booster packs, but I want to keep saving my money up until you get the maxed out interest when you reach $25. So let's just go next. In the next round here, I have a straight, I suppose. So here's a straight that I can play. I think this actually will be the 1200 points here. But if not, we have the security. We know that we can hit 2 hands. And then this 1600 points was kind of the best that we could do. So with a face card that gives us +20 mult from the raised fist, that is not enough, or I guess it is enough to hit the 1600 here. This is a little bit awkward. So the hook, discarding random cards when you play your hand, is going to make it harder for us, you know, to control the raised fist perhaps. All right, so now I'm up to $34, and with $34 we have a lot more flexibility here. I could, you know, instead of the fist, I could go for something that's a little bit more consistent, like I could pick up this droll joker. I don't think we need to, but you could if you were concerned about it. And we are looking for, you know, some combination of chips to go with our mult. And so one way to do that is to get Todd here and then try to play odd cards. Maybe odd cards as part of a flush, you know, pick up these 2 here. I think also, you know, we want to try to get value from our hallucination, so maybe we're considering celestial packs. An additional source of chips, a good source of chips, are these planet cards. I mean, so we just saw the Venus card gave us +20 chips. If we go into the collection here, we can see for the planet cards, you know, Saturn gives you +30 chips. And so kind of the way that I think about these planet cards are like, you know, these negative jokers. You know, I don't know if you had a negative joker yet, but a negative joker, you think of it as it increases your score, but it doesn't take up one of your joker slots, right? That is the primary tension of the game, is you have a limited number of joker slots. You want to have, you know, the right synergy so that you get the most out of each joker slot. Well, the planet cards don't take up any joker slots. And so, you know, maybe what I want to do, rather than filling up my joker slots all the way, maybe I want to pick up these celestial packs and then also potentially get value from my hallucination card. So here, you know, this is probably the best scenario, is I pick up Hermit, I just get 20 bucks instantly. So like that's pretty good. And then also here, you know, of these planets, you know, maybe not what I was going for, you know, initially, you know, with respect to, let's say, full houses and straights and flushes and that sort of thing. But, you know, if I pick up something like Uranus here, if I upgrade my 2 pair here, then I can always play a 5th card as a way of throwing away a card. And then, you know, with respect for our raised fist here, if you're trying to throw away a card, throw away a low card, you can add it to your 2 pair. So maybe I'm interested in that. I want some kind of middle ground between, you know, high enough ranking hand so that it is scoring enough points, but, you know, not too hard for me to make, perhaps. So, you know, maybe we could check out another Celestial pack. And now we have entirely different options from what we had before. And so if you wanted to think about, you know, synergy here, okay, the Star Tarot card allows us to create more diamonds, makes it easier for us to get our flushes. So maybe I want to take this Jupiter card for flushes, and then maybe I want to take this Droll Joker for flushes. And then, you know, if I'm playing a flush, it's not too hard to add a few odd cards in the mix. And then now with the Star, I'm looking to maybe, if I get to choose, right, if I get to choose what cards to make into diamonds, maybe I will target the odd cards. And, you know, I have extra money here, so I could purchase this boss reroll voucher and then continue saving the rest of my money for interest. So, you know, this run is basically done. This is a good start. We've demonstrated a good start. Let's try to see if we can find a bad one. All right, so one more time. In the first round here, I've got 8s and aces, and so I could go for the full house if I want, but also I have some good-ish diamonds. It's pretty easy to just find the diamonds flush, or at least it should be. So I do have a flush already, but it's not high enough scoring, and so maybe what I want to do is throw away the 3 and the 4. I said I'm going for the diamonds flush, but maybe throwing away these diamonds give me a better chance of getting better diamonds, right? Or maybe, you know, if I keep the 4, this is 11 plus this is 19 is 30 points. So as long as I get a 10 or higher. So there are 4 diamonds that I could draw from this position. So that is the same as going for a full house. That is the same as going for a straight sometimes. But let's give it a try. So there's 4 different possibilities that we could get. Or we just draw all diamonds and then we're good. We have 1 more discard left if we needed it, and we also have the possibility we can play a hand just to burn it, just to dig. Alright, Dusk is a very powerful synergy joker. If you have, you know, we just looked at Odd Todd. Odd Todd gives you plus chips when you play odd cards. This re-triggers that kind of effect. If you're going for, you know, these really absurd high scores, Dusk is a thing that typically contributes to that. You have, you know, powerful jokers that give you effects on your cards, and this will re-trigger those powerful effects, and you can get very absurdly high scores. However, you know, for this kind of like early game consistency, you know, I just want to get the ball rolling. I want to, you know, secure my early scoring, you know, with some plus mult, some chips. This is not the kind of thing that I'm looking for, so I'm actually just going to save all of my money. Again, here we have a Spectral pack. You're not going to be punished for not taking it. You're not going to be punished for not taking anything here. Alright, in the next round, I have already 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 is a straight. Or if I include the 2 here, it leaves me the possibility I could, you know, get a spades flush, or I could get another straight. All right, let's see here. I've got 10, 9, 7, 6. So maybe I just need an 8 if I want to try to make a straight that way. or I can go for spades or diamonds. I think I'm gonna go for diamonds as a flush. The question is this flush 250 points? Probably. All right, in the second shop here, we've got the drunkard, gives us +1 discard, is not going to give us any scoring. There are some jokers that care about discards, and so this could have some synergy with that, but sort of baseline what to expect from the drunkard. This is an enabler joker. And so we have different categories of jokers. We have value generators that give us money or tarot cards or some other kind of value. We have scoring jokers, and we also have enablers. Enablers don't necessarily give you score on their own, but they enable you to get the better hands that are going to score more. And so with an extra discard, maybe we can play full houses, and then full houses are going to be worth more points. We also have the option here for ride the bus. So among the other different plus mult options, this is going to be, it's scaling, right? It's stacking. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So it starts out small, it's not really helping us, but we don't need the help now. And then we can build it and then have it very large for later on. And so I think, this is exactly what we want here. And the drunkard, probably we don't need. So I'm not going to take it here. I'm just going to keep saving my money for interest. And so in these first, let's say 6 rounds or whatever, the first 2 antes, figure out just what you need and then not spend on anything more than what you need. And so I think the drunkard is fine. I think the drunkard is good. Maybe even the drunkard has synergy with ride the bus. Ride the bus wants you to not play any face cards. If I have extra discards, I can discard my face cards. So maybe there's some synergy here, but I don't need this. So I'm gonna pass, holding my money for interest. All right. Against the boss here, maybe, let's see here. I want to hit 600 points. So probably that's gonna be 2 hands. 2 300-point hands might be kind of tough, but with the bus, +1 mult, from 4 to 5 is, plus 25%, right? And so what used to be a 280-point hand then becomes over 300 points. And so I can play any straight, I can play any flush. And so let's see here, what do I want to do? How about, I'm not that far off from a straight, right? I can draw either a 2 or a 7, and if I keep the hearts here, I also have the opportunity to draw a hearts flush. So let's look for that straight. For the purposes of trying to make ride the bus happen, I think playing straights, it's easier to avoid face cards. If you're playing flushes, then you might run into your face cards. So maybe now I could play something that looks like this, or instead of the 8, I could play the 3. I'm going to play the higher ranking one. So here's the straight. That's okay. I want to discard the face cards. I could potentially be looking for more hearts. So there's a king of hearts, there's a queen of hearts. There's 5 more hearts that are non-face cards. So I think the hearts flush is off the table. Maybe what I can do is I can go for another 4. So I have 3 4s left in the deck, and I can try to make a straight that way. I could try to make some kind of pairs or a flush. I think what I want to do, I actually have a lot of spades left. So maybe let's do it like this. I'm going to throw these away, and I'm going to throw away, let's say, the 5 and the 3. And that's going to leave me open to drawing more aces and 10s, and maybe playing 2 pair could be enough points. That's going to leave me open to, if I just want to draw spades, I have 3 discards. I have a pretty good chance of finding more spades. Let's give this a try. All right, so there are some spades. Here's that 2 pair that I was talking about. I still have 1 more 9 and then 2 more 10s left in the deck, so we might as well dig for those and try to make the full house. If we get the full house with the, +2 molt from the bus, that'll take us from 4 to 6. That'll be 50% more. 300 points becomes 450 points. Will be enough points. And discard one more time. All right, so we didn't get the full house that we're looking for, but what we can do is we can play the 2 pair. And, what do I want to have left over after I play my 2 pair? I think it probably doesn't matter, so I'm going to play the debuffed 6. I don't think this wins. Okay. But this 2 pair will win. And so, here's a question. Often the question that people ask with the bus is, should I be leveling this up? If I just play the ace, if I just play the high card, it's not going to score, but it is going to level up the bus. And then after, I can play the 2 pair. And so I can level up the bus faster if I do stuff like that. I can use extra hands just for the purpose of leveling up the bus. The question is, should we do that? The answer is maybe. What I prefer is, every time you play a hand, it costs you $1. And so every time I level up the bus with an extra hand, it costs me $1. And so the exchange rate is $1 per +1 molt. And the question is that worth it? Well, early on, every dollar that you save is going to get you interest, and that interest is going to earn you more interest, right? It's sort of compounding. Not super fast, but it does matter a little bit. We're able to get additional interest on top of our interest. And so what I suggest is, in the early game, save our money. In the early game, save our money until we reach the $25 interest cap. And then after that, if you want to go super hard on the bus, if you want to get, the super high plus molt on the bus, go for it. Just use the throwaway hands to level up the bus. All right, we're up to $20 here. I am thinking about, I have the plus molt from the bus, solid. I'm looking for some source of chips, and so a source of chips could be flushes. Also here, I have our first, this is an X molt, a multiplicative bonus. And so if you didn't already know, the way this works, you can move around your jokers, and we want the plus molt options on the left, and we want the X molt options on the right. And so this is, let's say we start at 4. If I add 4 and then I times 2 or something like that, then it's 8 times 2 instead of times 2 and then plus. So we want the multiplicative bonuses after. Constellation is one where you pick it up early and then it just gets bigger and bigger as the run goes on. And so similar to the bus, the question is, how much do I want to invest in this, invest in making it bigger? Because if I want, I could buy this planet card and I can buy this celestial pack, and that'll give me more planets, and then I can grow this here. I can buy planets for hands that I don't even plan on playing. Neptune for the straight flushes. I don't even plan on playing straight flushes. I can buy the planet card. Question is, should we do that? Is it worth it to do that? It depends, and I want to say generally not, and I want to say the same sort of thing as the bus here, where you want to get your interest first, and then after you collect your interest, then you can decide later what you want to be doing. For the purposes of the early game, I think you still take the constellation early because it is powerful later. You want to set yourself up for success. I think of constellation like this is a value generating joker, right? It doesn't score now, it takes up a joker slot now, but then later on it'll pay off. So it's kind of like an egg. Now, do I want this Jupiter card? I could decide now that I want to go for flushes, and this could be a good reason to go for flushes, and then with the bus, plus molt and then plus chips from flushes. I think we will do that. Maybe something that is a little bit awkward with the bus is, with my flushes, if I'm trying to avoid the face cards, it's a little bit harder to get flushes. And so maybe with the bus, you're trying to do something a little bit less ambitious. Maybe straights or two pair or three of a kind type stuff. But with the extra discard of the red deck, so red deck gives you an extra discard, I think it's fine. I think we can make it happen. And then we'll save the rest of our money for interest here. All right, in the next round, any flush will win. And so here I already have some hearts. Let's just discard looking for more hearts. Wait, we already got it. We already have the flush here. Does any flush win? If this goes up to +4. Oh, we do have the upgraded flush. Yeah, so this definitely wins. There we go, 900 points. I know in the next round I need 1200 points. I need something a little bit more powerful, or potentially I just play two hands instead of one hand. Here is that drunkard again, you know, comboing with the with the bus, making it easier for us to find the hands that we're looking for. Temperance you can take for $3. It gives you $6 or it gives you a refund right away. Something to think about with the temperance is, you know, do I want to use it right away or do I want to potentially hold it for more value? For example, you know, if I buy more jokers, then it's worth more money, right? But, you know, if I use the money now, I get $2 extra of interest, right? And so is the extra money from interest worth more than the extra money that I would get from buying some joker in the future? I think the extra interest is worth it, you know, with what I have going on right now. So I'm just going to use it, go up to $20 here. And in the next round, I can't win it with one flush, but I know I can win it with two flushes. So we're just going to be patient and keep holding our money and go next. The boss is the needle, 800 points if we play only one hand. We already know a flush will work. So let's just look for a flush. Maybe what I want to do is go for, let's say, the clubs, or actually, let's do it this way. We can go for the hearts or possibly diamonds. So I have the face cards that I want to discard. And so, you know, do I want to go for hearts or diamonds? I have more diamonds left than I have hearts. But I have 3 hearts in hand already, so let's just look for more hearts. Keep discarding, looking for more hearts. And then here we go. So this is not enough to score, but that's okay. The plan is currently 2 hands. So that's 1,000 points. And then now I don't need a flush. Now if I want, I can play 2 pair here. Again, saving our hands for money first, and then after we have the interest cap of $25, then we can play extra hands for the bus. And so let's see here. If the thing that I want to do is make flushes, then greedy joker is going to support that, right? If I want to play diamonds flushes now, this is going to give me plus 20 molt is huge, you know, way bigger than what the bus is doing. And so something that I like to think about with the bus is, you know, this is scaling, but maybe not the most powerful now. So what is something that I can do now and then grow the bus for later? And even if you play something like 2 pair, you can easily fit in 2 diamonds and get, you know, plus 8 molt for 2 pair is not bad. Also, you know, some consideration for the crazy joker, giving you plus molt for straights. I think that's a great option as well. And so maybe something you could consider as well, if I already have the upgraded flushes, even though, you know, the crazy joker is not compatible with the upgraded flushes, maybe I can hedge. Maybe I can have a backup. I can play either a flush or a straight. But I think we want to go for synergy, so I'm going to go for the greedy joker here. And then go next. Again, saving all of our money for interest. Some vouchers, they're worth spending your money for, even though you lose the ability to make interest. Some vouchers are worth it. But let's go next. And for the boss here, we want to play only one hand. So I know, even though I picked up the greedy joker, even though I picked up the greedy joker for diamonds, any clubs flush will also win. So let's look for clubs flush. There we go. We got it already. Ship it. All right, and once again, that's it. We completed Ante 1 and 2. We're going into Ante 3 with $35 here. We have, the interest cap. We can even go higher. We can get even more money with the Hermit. So let's try another one. What happens if we don't get the bus? Let's see here. I've got diamonds, and I want to do it this way. So I want to go for the clubs rather than the diamonds. So even though I have more diamonds, these are low diamonds. These are not scoring enough diamonds. So I'm going to go for the 2 clubs here, or potentially there could be a straight that happens. But primarily I'm going for the clubs flush when I discard. And we drew the straight. I feel like that's happened a weirdly large amount of times, at least 2 times. That's a lot of nickels. All right. In the shop here, we are offered, this is another enabler. So this does not help you score, but it does help you make straights. And I just like this Joker. I think it's really cool art. I think it's a really cool effect. It's really interesting gameplay to make these interesting straights. And so, if we go to, the run info here with like starting out, flushes score higher than straights. Yeah. Full houses score higher than flushes. Yeah. But, if we go to the planet cards, Jupiter gives us plus 15 chips. Saturn gives us plus 30 chips. And that's, sort of long-term end game. Generally, it's easier to make flushes because, there's tarot cards that help you make flushes easier. There's not really the tarot cards don't really help you make straights that much. They could help you a little bit if you remove some cards from your deck, but they don't really help you that much. So sort of the other side of that, instead of helping you make straights easier, we just make straights worth more points. So long-term end game, if you have more, equal amount of Jupiter and Saturn cards, Saturn is worth twice as many chips, so straights are worth twice as many points. And so having this shortcut allowing us to make straights more easily, you could think of this as, oh, this is doubling my score. This is allowing me to play hands that are worth twice as many points. This also is going to make it easier to make straight flushes if you want. So I think definitely I'm interested in taking this here and continuing to save my money for interest. In the next round, if I want, I already know that I can win this in 2 rounds, but here is, one of these skip tags. So we haven't talked about skipping yet. And I think, for early on, beginners, just, trying to figure out the game, don't take any skips. You will not be punished for not taking any skips. Getting access to the shops and getting access to more Joker options, I think, is going to help you stabilize and help you get off the ground. But if you're feeling a little frisky, there are a few that are potentially worth it. It's different. The value proposition is different depending on at what stage of the game we're in. But for right now, in Ante 1, this skip gives me $15. Gives me $15 after the boss. So here are some things to consider. 1, when we play the round, we get $4 reward money. 2, when we play, let's say I win this in 1 hand or I win this in 2 hands, then I get $2 leftover hands. And, if we didn't pick up the shortcut, we would have $10 and we would get $2 of interest. So all that together, maybe you get $10 worth of value from playing, $8 to $10 worth of value if you play versus $15 if you skip. So, okay, $15 is worth more. However, every shop that you see has value also, right? Like if you don't like the shop, sometimes you'll re-roll and get a different shop, re-roll for more different Jokers. Well, re-rolls cost money. Every time you go into a shop, you get a free re-roll. The first 2 Jokers, that's a free roll. And so I'm skipping that free roll if I take the $15. I think it's still worth it here, but it's close enough that, like I said, you're not going to be punished if you never skip. I am trying here, you know, my clubs are debuffed. I am trying to win with 2 hands, 2 300-point hands. So maybe 2 straights. So I have, you know, part of a straight here, 3 5 or 5 4 3, but I think, you know, those are the lower scoring ones. I'm going to go for the higher straight. All right, 9 helps. This is already a straight, though, you know, with the clubs debuffed, maybe it doesn't score as much as I want it to. And so we could, you know, discard looking for a better straight, looking for, it could be either an ace or a 10 or an 8 or a different 7. I think let's do that. All right, so we got a different queen. We can go king, queen, jack, 9, 7 is a straight. I don't think that's 300 points. Okay, it is, barely. All right, and then now let's try for another straight, another high-ish straight. If I get a jack or a 10, it'll be good enough. If I get an ace, that's not going to help me because of the debuff. So let's again look for either a jack or a 10. There we go, we got the 10. We can play this straight. So, you know, the shortcut didn't get us any extra points, but it allowed us to more easily play higher scoring straights. And so instead of playing 3 hands, instead of playing 2 low straights and then potentially, you know, a flush or a pair or something like that, we were able to play 2 specific, more challenging straights, higher scoring straights. We were able to avoid the debuff cards because we were able to take skips. And then here we get the $15 investment tag. We get the cash out here. All right, what am I looking for as far as scoring options? I'm looking for, you know, in the early game, in the beginning, I'm focusing on getting some plus molt. So, you know, here plus molt from holographic is normally good, though maybe the madness is a little bit more wacky, a little bit more stressful that I'm looking for. This will, if you didn't already know, the way the madness works is it will upgrade first, it will gain X molt first, and then it will destroy a random joker. And so if you have no jokers, you can go just madness, leveling up and then, you know, not destroying anything. It'll keep getting bigger even if you don't have anything to destroy. I think, you know, as far as just like early securing our scoring options, I think Jimbo's perfectly fine. This is also a, you know, madness is an X molt joker. This is currently a ×2, right? Our straights that are currently 4 molt become 8 molt, and so our straights that were 300 points are now 600 points. So I could pick up Jimbo here. If I was concerned about scoring, I could consider a Celestial pack here, looking for a Saturn card, but I'm not concerned. The next round is 800 points. I know I can do that with 2 straights. So let's go, you know, ace, king, jack, 9. Maybe I'm looking for 7, 8. There's a lot of options here because of the power of the shortcut. Ace, king, jack, 10, 9. So that's not 800 points, but I can easily just play 2 hands. And then play a straight like this. All right, in the next round, we have the option to take the bus again if we want sort of this scaling molt option. And I think I do want that, you know, investing in the late game. That does bring me down to $26, where, again, that's the interest cap. So let's not spend any more money. We know in the next round we can play 2 hands to get the 1,200 points. Kind of. Before we were playing the face cards, the higher ranking straights with the shortcut. Now with the bus, maybe we want to avoid the face cards. So we're going to have to play it a little bit differently. Maybe here, I have 7, 6, 5. I'm looking for maybe an 8 or a 9, or that's it, just an 8 or a 9. So So here we can play a straight. And there, almost 600 points. I know one more of those will work. So here's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And now is a little bit differently from before. So before I said, you know, with the pus, you want to get your interest up first, right? Because in the beginning, every dollar is worth more than a dollar. Every dollar turns into interest, which turns into more interest, right? But now, every dollar over 25 is not worth as much to me. And so instead of just playing this straight, I'm gonna go ahead and just play cards to level up the bus here. And then the exchange rate is $1 per 1 molt. Again, $1 per 1 molt. And long term, it could be worth it. Long term, we could go all in on the bus. And then, you know, for the boss now, we've got 1,600 points here. The scary face is a little bit awkward if we're trying to go for the bus. And, you know, we don't have to stick with the bus. We could sell the bus and then, you know, convert to something else instead. But I think the bus is powerful enough that it's worth it to stick with it. We have the option for Fortune Teller is another late game, you know, scaler. It's a stacking joker. A little bit slower than the bus, right? So the bus, you just play 4 hands and you get +4 molt every round, right? The Fortune Teller only grows when you use the tarot cards. And so maybe, you know, each tarot card costs $3. So it's +1 molt per $3 or +1 molt per, you know, $4 Arcana pack. I think the Fortune Teller, probably you don't need to be taking early. It's going to grow slowly, but sort of late game, if you have access to some source of tarot cards, maybe you have a joker that generates tarot cards, then this can be very worth it late game. It is retroactive. It counts all of the previously played tarot cards. This being holographic, you know, it starts with an extra +10 molt on it. You know, that could be an argument for taking it. I think we don't need this if we already have the bus, though maybe it could still be worthwhile to take even though we don't need it. I think what I would rather do is pick up this buffoon pack, the jumbo buffoon pack. Gives us 4 options. We're mostly looking for chips, but we could, you know, get short term another plus molt option. Bus is going to be a little bit slow for us, so we want you know, something to get us started. Another thing to consider, every time you beat a boss, the voucher is going to re-roll. You're going to get a different voucher. And so if I want this clearance sale voucher, I need to purchase it now. And I think this is one of those, like I said, it is powerful enough. It is worth, you know, losing a little bit of money. So I am going to take the clearance sale and then consider what to do next. The boss is going to reduce our base chips and molt of whatever hand that we play. So something to think about, you know, if we have half as many chips, well, first, if we have half as much molt, you know, this 4 goes down to 2. It's just a -2 for our straight. So, you know, that's not really a big deal because we get the molt from our jokers after that. However, the chips being halved could be a big deal. If we have half as many chips, we're going to score half as many points, kind of. So maybe I want this buffoon pack, even though I want to try to stay above $25 here. I want to take the jumbo buffoon pack here just so that I'm, you know, certain I'll survive. And so a lot of great options here. We could, if you wanted to play greedy, we could take the rocket here. And then we could take the holographic Fortune Teller. So the Fortune Teller is going to, you know, give us safety. And then we take the rocket for the money. Or we can take the throwback here. Gives us times 1.25, so 25% extra. You know, if we're in the business of taking lots of skips, you know, it could grow. I think generally you should be skipping, 2 or fewer times, and so throwback is not typically going to be very good for us. And so maybe I want, instead of this rocket, I could take the 8 ball as another kind of value generator. I think rocket is just easier, and I think rocket is also faster, and it's going to give you more value. Also, it's uncommon, right? So you expect it to be better, of course, than the 8 ball. Also, 8 ball not really compatible with straights. However, as powerful as the rocket is, please consider. Let me offer you the banana. If you didn't already know, it's pronounced Gros Michel. So, we pick up the banana. Has a chance that it'll be destroyed, 1 in 4 chance. That's a good thing. That's what we want to happen. If we go to the collection here, if you didn't already know, there's a Cavendish banana. And so the way that it works is, when the Gros Michel goes away, when it expires on you, it unlocks the ability to find this in the future. So starting out, this is locked. You can't find the Cavendish banana. You need to first get the banana, the Gros Michel, and have it become extinct on you. Once those 2 things have happened, then you unlock the ability to get Cavendish. Cavendish is a ×3 mult, so whatever hand you play, triple the score. This is huge. This is exactly the kind of thing that you're looking for in the late game. If I compare it to something like Card Sharp, this is also ×3, but it has some requirements, right? If I have Blackboard is also ×3, but it has some rules to it. Same with something like, where's the other one? The one that I hate, Flower Pot, also ×3. And so being unrestricted, applying to every hand, is very powerful. Also, this is technically a common. When you unlock it, it's a common. And so when you unlock it, it'll show up with the other commons. It'll show up frequently. If you didn't already know, the shop is about, 1/3 commons and about 2/3 uncommon, 1/3 uncommons and about 2/3 commons. So commons show up twice as often as uncommons. And so if commons are showing up twice as often, then you'll get the Cavendish more easily than uncommons. So I would take the banana. I think the safer thing is to just take the rocket, but I think the higher reward, higher upside thing is to take the banana. Wait, is that thing that I said true? Wait, maybe uncommons aren't 1/3. Maybe it's more like a 1/6 or something like that. Anyway, you know commons are more common, right? Now that I have the banana, I don't need this stuff here. And so by taking the buffoon pack first, we have more information about what we want to do in this shop, and I think the answer is pass. So now what kind of straights can I make? This is a weird looking straight. Alright, I wasn't expecting that to win, and so this is good. It didn't win yet. Now what I want to do, if I want to keep growing the bus, I said, once we have the interest cap, maybe we want to keep growing the bus. I could, let's see here, 10, 9, 8, 7, 5, that's a straight. So the question is, do we play the straight or do we keep leveling up the bus? And I think the answer is, since we have $21 here, I think we just play the straight and then get the extra $2. And then once we hit the interest cap, then you can level up your bus. Alright, safe on the banana. We hit 2,600 points here, so not super high. Something to think about. In the next round, we need to hit 2,800 points. And so we have a lot of plus mult here. The thing that maybe we're interested in is getting more chips. So Marble Joker gives us stone cards, technically gives us more chips if we're going for 4-card hands or lower. Pairs and 3 of a kind and that sort of stuff. Marble Joker is pretty good combo with the half Joker, because then you can play like high card, for example, and you can throw some stone cards in there. If I want to try to do straights with the shortcut, You know, that's kind of what I'm into right now, but you know, I don't even have any leveled up straights. I don't have any planet cards, so I don't have to play straights. I could transition into something else. I could sell the shortcut and, you know, switch over to these and play high card with stone cards and half joker. Maybe what I want to do, I can open this celestial pack and it'll give me more information about what direction to go. All right, so let's say Saturn wasn't here, then I could pick up the Jupiter, and then I could, you know, get rid of the shortcut and transition into flushes. Or, you know, since the Saturn is here, we'll just pick up the Saturn. We can go, you know, now I've got $29, so I do want to save my money for interest. The question is, do I want, let's say this Arcana pack here is only $3. So something to consider. If I buy the $3 Arcana pack, that'll take me down to $26. $26 is enough. You know, I'll still have the interest cap here. But maybe, you know, I want this voucher, this wasteful voucher. And so something to think about is I want to not just hit the interest cap, but I want to save my money for the voucher rather than spending my money here, right? So the reason why I'm not taking the voucher here is because it's going to take me down to $22. So rather than pick up this Arcana pack, I'm going to save my money for the voucher. And as far as scoring, you know, as long as we've got Grow Michelle here, we're fine. So we'll just go next. Let's look for, is this a straight? I know this is not going to score 2,800 points. It shouldn't. Awkward. I miscalculated. The boss debuffed, you know, removed our chips, and that's why we were scoring less points. But here, it was enough. Also, our bus is bigger than before, so it scored enough points. So what I wanted to do was play the extra hands to level up the bus, but you know, I just made a mistake there and I accidentally scored too many points. So I will keep that in mind, you know, when we go into the next round here, the 4,200. Keep that in mind about, you know, how many extra hands to play for the bus. All right, now I can afford the wasteful voucher. As far as like a source of chips goes, the clever joker, of course, this is hard for us to hit the 4 of a kind. We now have extra money, so we can buy an Arcana pack and think about, you know, what might we want to be doing. High Priestess for more planet cards for more scoring, or we could just take the Hermit for the money. And with the money now we can start re-rolling. So, you know, this run is done. Let's go next. All right, again, we'll, you know, sort of blaze through the early stuff here. Let's go for clubs. Or we'll just play 4 aces. All right, in the first shop, I'm looking mostly for a scoring joker. If I don't get a scoring joker, we'll just go next and play 2 hands. So here, let's look for diamonds. Almost a straight, right? But I think it'll be easier to get the diamonds. I think so. I think it'll still be easier to get the diamonds. There we go. We could play these diamonds, and then maybe we could play some spades now. Let's see here. Equal amounts, clubs and spades. So show me one more spade. Or sorry, one more club. There we go. So no jokers, easy, 2 hands. Go next. All right, in the shop here, as far as like early game stuff, Golden Joker is incredibly powerful. That's exactly what you're looking for. What's the boss situation here? Must play 5 cards. Supernova is kind of like the bus. It is scaling based on, you know, how many times you repeatedly play the same hand. So something, you know, to keep in mind with the Supernova, you can only play, you know, 1 or 2 straights in a round. You can only play 1 or 2, maybe 3, not usually 3 flushes in a round. And so this grows very slowly. Also, this is retroactive. If you pick it up later in the run, it does count, you know, any flushes or straights that you've played previously. So I think, early on, because of how slowly this grows, I'm not into the supernova. I'm not into taking this. If I was really concerned about my survivability, being able to beat the boss here, I would take the buffoon pack first, looking for some kind of scoring help. And that could be in the form of Crafty Joker, plus 80 chips for a flush. And then the Golden Joker is, of course, worth it. So, alright, you know how this goes. We've already got what we need. Let's go next. Alright, in the next example here, again, let's look for spades. Or we got the full house. Alright, in the shop I'm thinking about, short term, short game, the ×3 mult doesn't really do much for us. I mean, technically it works, right? If we play, what kind of hand could have, the 4 different cards here for the flower pot? You could play a straight, works, 4 of a kind works, but maybe it's not easy to do, maybe a full house. And so the way that I'm looking at this flower pot, okay, maybe full houses. And if I go full houses, maybe earth would be compatible with that. So I could go pick up the flower pot, pick up the earth card, and then now we should be pretty much set as long as we hit that full house. Though, looking ahead here at the boss is going to debuff our club cards, and so this isn't going to work anymore. The flower pot doesn't work on this boss, but in the future is probably very powerful, probably very worth it. Though maybe something to keep in mind is every boss that debuffs any suits, of which there are 4 different ones, will also debuff our flower pot in the future. So flower pot is not one of my favorites. I think it's kind of hard to make it work. I think, having all different suits is just as hard as having all of the same suit. So playing a full house or a straight of different suits, it's not as hard as a straight flush, but it is similar difficulty to a straight flush. So in the next round here, I can actually win with a full house, maybe. It's not something that we typically do, so I want to keep the queens and maybe do something like this, looking for a 2, or maybe looking for a 4 since it's higher. I have 2 5s, 2 queens, so that's already enough. That's already enough for the flower pot. I'm just looking for another queen or 5. Alright, one more time, queen or 5. Queens and 5s, full house, upgraded full house. So upgraded full house, that was 1800, 1900 points with the ×3. So if we don't get the ×3, if we get the debuff from the boss, that's still worth 600 points, right? So, as far as like scoring stuff in this shop, now what do I need? I don't need anything, so I could go next if I want. And then just any full house, even without the help of the flower pot, even with the debuff on the clubs. So maybe, jacks and 9s could work. Keep going, looking for jacks and 9s. There you go. So jacks and 9s. Maybe with the debuff this is not enough points. Okay, barely 600 points. Alright, I'm up to $17 now. In the next round, I know there is a full house that will win in 1. If I don't win in 1, I can play 2 hands. I can play a full house and any other hand. So we can just save our money for interest. We can go next. Alright, to get 800 points, I've got jacks and 6s. So let's just find a full house. We have the jacks and 6s. Alright, that takes us up to $26 here. Now the question is, do we spend our money? So I know in the next round, if I keep doing the same kind of full houses that I've been doing, then we'll be fine. The question is, how long can we keep that up? Do we potentially want to spend some money, just to secure our scoring? What's the boss, by the way? The boss is -1 hand size. -1 hand size is going to make it harder for us to get our full houses, harder for us to get our flower pot. So maybe let's pick up a backup option. And as far as backup options go, we could take this devious joker for straights. It's not compatible with the earth card that we picked up already for the full house, but it is compatible with the flower pot. We can make straights with the flower pot. So I think what I want to do is I want the jumbo buffoon because I have 4 options. It's just good value, right? $6, you get 4 choices. Here again, we have the very powerful option rocket for money. Also, it happens to be foil. So as far as like scoring help, yeah, that'll get the job done. Do I want either of these? Maybe do I want the devious joker? I think we don't need this, but I think it's good enough. Let's take it anyway. I think long term it's a little bit easier to do straights with the flower pot than it is full houses with the flower pot. Is that true? Maybe. Let's go next. Alright, I have some jacks, so let's discard keeping the 7. I have 4s and jacks, and maybe, well, hold on now. So I've got 3s. Yeah, 3s gives me the best chance of completing the full house. 3s or 10s? No, we'll throw away the 10s. Looking for jack or 3 of spades, or actually just any full house. So we didn't get the full house right away, so let's continue digging. So we'll throw away a hand here. Unfortunate. So still looking for that full house. There we go. And this full house does not get the benefit of the flower pot, but it does have the extra chips from the rocket. And so we still need a little bit more help. And so maybe, we don't have a straight, but we can go for something like this pair. And then with the help from the rocket, that's enough. So, what did we learn? What did we learn from that round? We learned that, full houses are difficult. And, even when we did get the full house, if we don't have the specific full house, if we don't have the flower pot flavored full house, then we struggle. Then we almost lose there. The reason why we almost lost there is because our hand wasn't worth enough points. It's not that the hand was too hard to find necessarily, it's just that when we did find the hand, it wasn't worth enough points. And so there, probably the better thing to do instead of going for the full houses would have been better to go for the 2 straights. So instead of the upgraded full house, go for 2 straights. One of the straights possibly being easier to get the flower pot than with the full houses. And so, that's the reason, good reason to hedge and pick up the devious joker as a backup. Now here, as far as like scoring help, on the boss, I know if I hit the full house with the flower pot, I will win. But there we just demonstrated that, maybe it's hard to do that. Maybe we can't do that. And so with the -1 hand size, it's going to be even harder. So what I am looking for is something that's going to make me score better with straights, perhaps better without the flower pot, or something that's going to enable the flower pot. The question is, are these booster packs going to be enough, or do we need to reroll because the cola is not going to be enough? I think what we do here is we try the celestial pack first. Will give us information what direction we want to go. So here the celestial pack does offer us a Saturn card that's compatible with the devious joker. So I think if we do that, then we're fine. Go next. All I have to do is hit a straight. Let's see here. I'm missing a 5. Maybe I'm missing like a 5 of spades. Or, yeah, I guess that's it. I'm missing, maybe a 5 of spades. Or maybe I could try to, replace these hearts with spades as well if I get a different 5. So let's discard like... Let's discard like this. Alright, so I did get a 5. I have 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So I have a straight and it's compatible with the devious joker. So let's do some quick math here. How much is this? This is like, let's say this is 15 chips and we go up to 75. 75 times 6 is 900 points. Or if I add 100 chips, that's twice as much points, right? So this is enough, even without the flower pot. And that's why we took the... Or wait. What? Did I do that wrong? Wait, what was I saying? Sorry. It was leveled up straight. If I go plus 20, or sorry, if I go plus 15 is 75 times... Oh, that's why. 75 times 6 is only 450. 75 times 6 is only 450, right? So if I have 450 plus 100% is 900 plus, another 20% is, yeah, maybe a little bit more than 1,000. Okay. Regardless, we can hit 2 straights. Easily, we can hit 2 straights. And there we go. If I wanted to, I could even do this. Get the fancy straight. There we go. Calculated, though sometimes, bad at the math. So I have, the X molt from the flower pot, if I can get the flower pot to happen. Currently it looks like a straight, a good enough straight will work. I don't need any scoring help. I just hit 6,000 points there, and so that's enough to beat, if we go to the collection here, if we go to the blinds, that takes us up to ante 4 small blinds. So all of ante 3 I can beat with just the scoring that I have now. And so maybe what I want to go for is just more consistency. And the thing that's going to get me more consistency is, maybe paintbrush with the extra hand size. And then that's it. I don't need extra points. I don't need the celestial pack. I could just save my money for interest. And, maybe a consideration is, because we have the rocket money, maybe I don't need a point of interest. Maybe the celestial pack, it costs me a point of interest, but is the celestial pack worth $5? Or actually, it doesn't even cost me a point of interest, right? If I go from 24 to 20. So this celestial pack is definitely worth it. Looking for more Saturn cards. If we don't get the Saturn cards, we should think about late game. Where do we want to go from here? I could transition from straights into straight flushes. I lose the ability to do the flower pot stuff, but if my straight flushes are big enough, if they're worth more than my straights, could be worth it. Or, let's say I don't get my straights, I could, as a backup, do 2 pair. I think either of those scenarios are very unlikely, not likely to happen, but something worth considering. If I take the Neptune here for the straight flush, even without the flower pot, my straight flush is twice as many molt, and then more than twice as many chips. So straight flush is going to be 4 times as big as a regular straight, if I can hit it, compared to the flower pot. All right, let's go. I want to show, let's do one more. Let's see here. In the early game here, I'm looking at maybe throw away the 4 and look for some better clubs or possibly hearts. There are some better clubs. 3 queens already. 3 queens, maybe I can get a full house. Maybe if I throw all of these away. 4 queens. There we go. If you have 2 pair, I think 2 pair it's too hard to get the full house. If you have 3 of a kind, I think 3 of a kind is pretty easy to get the full house. Alright, do I want this photograph? Photograph's going to give me ×2 mult. So the thing to note about this is kind of important. This ×2 happens before any of the plus mult that you get from your jokers. And so, you know, currently this is only ×2 on whatever your base is. And so for short term, you know, ×2 on a flush is just a +4. So this is the same +4 that Jimbo gives you, except it costs $5 instead of $2. I think, you know, end game, late game, I think this can be worth it if you get a lot of planet cards, if you level up your hand very high. I think early game, I'd rather have something else, straight up. I'd rather have something else for scoring. I'd rather have the money to potentially buy booster packs and potentially buy shop rerolls. So we're just going to go next. And then in the next round, trying to win with 2 hands. So maybe 8, 7, 6, 5 is already enough of a straight, rather than going for, you know, either of the flushes. Let's go for either a 4 or a 9. Or maybe now that I have, you know, 4 clubs in hand, let's just go for 1 more club. All right, next we've got another flush here. In the shop, okay, so we have a different kind of scaler now. We have a chips scaler. We have the square jokers gaining chips. So here's the thing about chips. You know, when we're first starting out, let's say we've got 75 chips and we've got 4 mult. Okay, if I get plus, let's say I get +8 mult, right? So I've got 75 and I got 4 mult here, and let's say I get another +8 mult. +8 mult on top of 4 takes us to 12. That's a ×3 to our score if we get a +8 mult. Or if, let's say I get 60 chips. So 60 chips on top of 75, that's less than 75. So that's less than ×2 if I get +60 chips. The reason why I mentioned this 60 and this +8, sorry, if we go to the collection here, here we've got Steven gives you +4 mult, Todd gives you +30 chips, and so Steven is going to be +8 versus +60. So between the two of these, the thing that gives us more earlier are going to be the plus mult options. So that's the first thing that you're looking for. First thing that you're looking for is some source of plus mult. Then on top of that, then you can start to look at, you know, plus chips. Once you already have some mult, then each additional mult that you get is sort of diminishing returns on these plus mult things, right? So the difference between 4 and then a +8 is ×3, right? The difference between now you have 12 and another +8 is not going to be a ×3 if you get, you know, more and more mult like that. And so in the, you know, very early game, the first joke you're looking for is mult. The second thing you're looking for is chips. And then later on in the truly late game, end game, you will have a lot of planet cards. Planet cards will be your source of chips. And so often with these chips, you're selling your chips jokers in the end game. In Ante 8, you have high enough planet cards that you don't need the chips anymore. So the ride the bus is something that survives until the very end game. You can have it in your final joker lineup. Square joker might not survive until the very end. That's why bus is $6 and then square joker is $5. I think square joker also is just slow scaling, weak scaling, but it could be good enough for the early to mid game. And so I think I do want this. I think it is good enough. The question is, do I want some other kind of scoring option? You know, if I'm looking at the boss here, to get 600 points, we can do that with 2 hands. But maybe, you know, it's not the easiest thing to do. And maybe, you know, if I don't take something here, I always have the next shop. I do have a chance of getting something. But if I don't take something here, I might not get that chance in the future, depending on what the shop rolls. So I think, we just take the walkie-talkie while we can, and then go next. All right, so the thing that I'm looking for going to be throwaway hearts, and then look for 10s and 4s. So here, throwaway hearts, look for 10s and 4s. I'm going to keep the 9s because it's a pair. Throwaway, maybe I don't throw away hearts if I have 3 of the 9s. Let's look for 10s and hearts. So we got 10s. We actually have 4 of a kind here. So 4 of a kind does win, and 4 of a kind levels up the square. So we're going to do the same thing with the square joker that we did with the bus, where we said, okay, early on, don't waste any hands. Save your money. Build up your interest. Later on, we can do something like this. Later on, we can play any 4 cards to level up the square. All right, the next shop, I don't need anything scoring-wise. I don't need anything. I could take the Wrathful Joker. I could, I think of the plus multi options, the early game plus multi options, I think the Sinful Jokers is what I call them. This is the Wrathful Joker. I think these are the strongest, being able to give you plus 20 molt. Also, the fact that it gives you the molt on the cards as they're scored before any of your jokers happen up here, for things like the photograph that gives you the ×2 on the face card when it's scored. This has synergy with the photograph, and so I like these for having that synergy. I think the walkie-talkie is good enough, but if you wanted to, play safer, potentially have an easier time, you take the Wrathful Joker here. We could also ask this question, do we want the ice cream? This ice cream that gives us a huge amount of chips now, and then is going to, of course, decrease the more and more hands that we play, so it's going to give us less and less over time. I think with what we have up here, we don't need any of this. But, let's say we didn't have the square, let's say we didn't have the walkie-talkie, then between these, of course, you want the Wrathful Joker for the source of molt, and I think, we do want some source of chips. If we have the 2 of these, that is enough scoring that can carry us through the end of Ante 3, just the 2 of these. Let's say we didn't have the ice cream, then I would be interested in taking maybe some income generating joker, like the clown here. We could think about taking this flash card, definitely has the synergy with the Chaos the Clown, with the free rerolls, it's going to keep scaling. But, let's say we didn't have, this synergy here, and we just had, kind of, I guess the ice cream came back around. If you wanted to play it safe, I think the ice cream is the safe pick here. I think it's a sufficiently powerful pick. I'm going to save my money for interest because I know that I don't need the ice cream. And go next. So here, just looking for spades. So there's my spades flush. What would normally be 300 points, if I add 20 chips, should be 6 times as many points. Right, so 300, or a little bit less than 300, is a little bit less than 1800 here. Alright, and I know I could just do the same thing. Wily Joker, not really compatible with the Wrathful Joker, so we'll reroll one time. I could pick up here, another, backup plus molt option, though, with the Wrathful Joker, I already have enough. I can get the 1200 here. Though maybe some consideration, okay, the boss could give us some trouble. The boss with no discards. I think I'm going to take the business card for the money here. This is definitely, I'll admit, this is definitely playing a little bit greedy here. If we wanted to be safe for the boss, I think you take the fist here, but I think we can afford to pass on it. Let's look for our spades. So I have some spades. I would like to get more face cards for potentially more money. Okay, well, we had a few go by. This is 50% chance you get $2, so on average you get $1. So if I play a hand, it costs me $1, but I get $1 as long as I play at least one face card. If I play two face cards, it's net positive, or positive expected value is what we say. All right, so that is the 1700 points. The question is, can I get enough spades for the boss, or do I need some kind of backup option? So what could be a good option is here we've got Devious Joker gives us Molt and chips, and so there isn't anything that's necessarily, we're not committed to playing flushes, so maybe this could be good. Gives us chips, we want some source of chips. Do I want the buffoon pack to get more information first? I think I want to keep saving my money here, so I will take the Devious Joker. Even if I don't play straights, the +10 Molt guaranteed from the holographic could be useful. We get a free reroll, and of course we get the extra scoop ice cream. 150 chips ice cream plus 10 Molt. This is what enables you to, now I don't have to play a flush, now I don't have to play a straight. I could play any hand already. 150 times 10, this is 1,000 points. This is 1,500 points without any hand. Obviously very powerful. But as far as let's say I didn't have this, then I think we have enough to beat the boss. So if I get my clubs or my spades flush, definitely that will win. If I don't get the spades, what could I do instead? We could go for a straight would win. So maybe what I'm looking for is drawing a 6. How do I feel about my chances of drawing a 6 in, so it's 4 hands, so I get to use 3 hands as discards, playing 4 cards at a time, so I'm going to see 12 cards. Question is, can I hit a 6 in 12 cards? I honestly don't feel super confident in that. So maybe as a backup, if I just play a flush with the +10 Molt here, that could be something, right? So a flush, normally 300 points. The +10 Molt will be at least 2.5 times. So, maybe 700 points. The question is that enough if I play 2 flushes? What I really need to do is find any number of spades. I think as long as we get 2 spades, here 2 spades would be +8 Molt plus the 10 Molt would be fine. So let's actually do this. I'm going to play the flush just to put it on the board. I don't believe super strong in my ability to draw the 6, so I'm going to play the flush, looking for any spades. Not necessarily a spade flush, but just any spades. Okay, that's 1,000 points for a flush. I do have a pair of 9s now. Let's look for more spades, or maybe we just look for more hearts. A hearts flush will win, so let's look for hearts. There we go. So play to your outs, right? Figure out not just what the best hand is, but what the good enough scoring hand is. Alright, that's going to be it for, kind of this early ante stuff. I just wanted to demonstrate, the first 2 antes, how to evaluate the first couple shops, how to figure out, what is enough for you to win, and how to get your economy online by, being a little bit conservative with your spending. Not spending if you don't have to. And then, once you have your interest online, once you have that passive interest, $5 per round, then you could do whatever you want. Then you can buy whatever you want. You can buy all the booster packs, you can reroll for jokers, you can really play around after that once you have your economy online. All right. Take care, everyone.